All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about one of the biggest, most important leaps you can make as a designer. It's all about shifting gears from a kind of messy, screen-by-screen process to one that's clean, professional, and really systematic. It's about building smarter, not just harder.
So, does this look familiar? I mean, you've got dozens of artboards. Everything looks fine, but deep down, it's basically a house of cards. Buttons are just a few pixels off here and there, colors aren't quite consistent, and the thought of a client asking for one tiny change, it fills you with this sense of dread. Believe me, it's a super common feeling, but it's one you can totally get past.
You see, it really boils down to understanding the two roads you can go down. On one side, you've got the disconnected way. It's inconsistent, it feels chaotic, and every single edit is this painful manual task you have to do over and over again. But on the other side, you've got the systematic way. And this is where everything is coherent, predictable, you have a single source of truth for all your design elements, and really, this isn't just a different workflow. It's a completely different mindset.
So how do we get over to that systematic, professional side of the street? Well, the answer is actually really elegant, and it's incredibly powerful. You start building with design components. This right here is the game changer.
Now, what's so interesting here is the definition itself, early UI component design. It's not about making everything look perfect right from the get-go. No, it's the practice of building individual, functional, and, this is the key, reusable pieces of your interface early in the process. We're talking about function over final form, at least for now.
Here's probably the best way to wrap your head around it. Stop thinking of yourself as a painter, creating a totally unique masterpiece for every single screen. Instead, you need to become an architect. You're creating a master set of high-quality, perfectly crafted building blocks. And with those blocks, you can then build whatever you want, and you can do it with incredible speed and precision.
So what are these building blocks really? Well, they're the things you use again and again and again. We're talking about your primary and secondary buttons, your info cards, all your text fields, your core set of icons, and your main navigation elements, like menus or tab bars. When you build these first, you're literally creating the DNA for your entire project.
Okay, so let's get to the good part, the payoff. Because the reward for doing this work up front is immediate, and it is massive. You get three absolutely critical things: consistency, clarity, and total control over your design. And this slide just illustrates the magic perfectly, right? In the old way, a client says, hey, can we make all the buttons a little more rounded? And that means you have to go hunting through 20 different screens, manually editing every single button, and just praying you don't miss one. But in the component way, you edit the main button component once, and boom, all 20 of them update instantly, automatically. That's not just saving you time, it's saving your sanity.
All that control has a direct impact on the person actually using your product. When every button, every card, every field behaves the same way everywhere, the user doesn't have to think so hard. The whole goal is to build a prototype that feels coherent and predictable, something that's easy to navigate and gets rid of that chaotic feeling that just kills a user's confidence.
And what's really cool is that this process kind of forces you to think about good usability from day one. When you build a single button component, you're not just deciding on its color, you have to ask, does it have the right amount of spacing? Is the label perfectly clear? And are accessibility standards, like contrast and size, baked right in? You end up building these good design principles right into the foundation of your project.
So, beyond those immediate wins, there's a real pro-level advantage here. And this is all about how this approach totally transforms the later stages of your project. It helps you just accelerate toward a polished, high-fidelity final design.
You can think of that component library you built as a launch pad, right? The heavy lifting, the structural work, it's already done. The logic is sound. So when it's time to go to high fidelity, you're not rebuilding anything from scratch. You're just applying the final visual polish, the branding, the cool colors, the little refinements, to a system that's already rock solid.
And this chart shows you exactly where your effort goes. You slash the amount of time you spend on that tedious rework, on fixing little inconsistencies, and that time doesn't just vanish. It gets reallocated to the stuff that really matters, the creative styling and the thoughtful refinements to take your design from just good to great.
But when you get right down to it, this isn't just about a new technique or a feature in your favorite design tool. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about changing how you even see yourself as a designer.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Build scalable, systematic design structures instead of a collection of disconnected screens.
I mean, that's the entire philosophy in a single sentence. You're not just making screens anymore, you're engineering a system. And let's be totally clear, this is how you train yourself to think like a pro. Because professionals build systems that can grow, that can be maintained, and that can adapt when things change. This is one of those core disciplines that really separates a beginner from a seasoned expert.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to really think about for your own work. Take a look at the project you're on right now. What is the single most important, most repeated, most foundational component that you should build first to start bringing some order to all that chaos? Start there.